Decipher's 9 colors of math.
Okay, write down topic. So the single rule book, the topic is 0. අදාළන්නේ බෑ. Can someone tell me the next term? Done? Numbness is a feeling, but nullness is a thought. Dullness is always, I don't know, but nullness is always happening. Nullness is always happening, right? But like dullness, what is dullness? Dullness is what? Is that energetic? No, right? So what is the term? No? I think you rolled. What was that term? No. I mean, like it has to be rhyming, no? You can't write no dullness is always tired. So then like one phrase is like not that beautiful, no? You have anything in your mind? Very mathematical. Dumb? No, not dumb. I know you all are dumb, but like, you know, since you are dumb only, I am coming to teach you, right? But dumbness is good, you know, because when you are dumb, people will treat you good, you know. Yeah. We are also treating you good, no? බාන්නක මේක බෑ කියන වැඩන්නේ නාප එක සැරයක් සපෝට් කරනවා. Numbness is a feeling. You know what is numbness, right? So like when you're numb, like, right? But nullness is a thought. Now thoughts does not exist physically. So I mean like you cannot physically touch them, you cannot see them, you cannot hear that. It's because it's a thought. So nullness we are going to discuss, or else this concept of 0 is not existing anywhere, isn't it? But dullness is always boring, right? Someone tell me boring in English? Yeah, the letters one by one. Tell me letter by letter. B, O, R-I-N-G. And this is the last thing you want to have inside a classroom, right? Isn't it? When you are inside a classroom, this is the biggest threat we have, because you get bored, because someone is coming and writing something on the board, and that someone is thinking that all the people understand what that person is writing in the board. So the people who are looking at the board, they are writing that on their books. So most of the time, what's happening in tuition classes and also in schools, he is not teaching, that is called boarding. But when all the time the boarding happens, you will be doing the reading, not learning, right? And then you will be writing, right? So if you think by doing that your mathematical intelligence would enhance, then that's a lie, isn't it? So very first thing you have to know, when you are learning mathematics, you have to make it happening. I mean, if it is boring and if it is not interesting, then you will never learn. I mean, this is not only applicable for mathematics, but also for any subject that you are learning. It could be science, but if you know science, I mean, if you know facts in science, but if you do not know the scientific method, then there is no point of learning science, no? Isn't it? So you would have heard there is something called scientific method, right? So then there should be some sort of mathematical method as well, right? You have heard artistic methods, isn't it, of doing things. For an example, you go to your mother and ask, you want to have a smartphone for the class. So how to approach artistically? Mama, you know what? Our maths class is very happening. And you know, like, I felt that the dullness in me has now evaporated. Now this particular teacher is asking us to bring a smartphone because we can chat, you know, with the friends while discussing, brainstorming the concepts. Isn't it nice, Amma? Yeah. But then, if I give you the phone, maybe you will use it after the class as well. Mother is telling. Then you'll be like, yeah, Amma, I will use it for like solving questions maybe in the group. That is an artistic way. And you can go in scientific way. What is scientific method? So scientific method, you can tell, you know, there is an assumption that this new teacher who is trying to teach us something called mathematics that we do not understand the way that he is telling, but he is telling different things on different days, so we are writing different things. But however, he is little crazy. This assumption is that I might be able to learn some sort of mathematics from him, given the fact that there are some sort of experimental behavior that I have to observe this for like few days, and for that we will need these equipments 1, 2, 3, 4, you know, the books, 3 books, one single rule, and then square rule, and he's asking some bloody blank paper book which is not in B5 size. We have already searched, but we couldn't find. However, he's asking us to bring a smartphone as well for the purpose of chatting these things. So I'm going to observe this thing, and then I will give you the observations after 3 weeks to you, and then you can finally, you know, look at the facts that I'm bringing, and then based on my assumption, you can see whether we can conclude the same. What do you think, Amma? That's a scientific method. You start with an assumption, then you experiment, then you take the observations, and then you conclude the assumption or maybe little amended assumption. So that becomes what? A theory. That is a, you know, scientific way of doing it. Mathematical way of doing the same thing. Hi, Amma. You know what? When I was in grade 10, I had 3 term tests, and I have scored under the power value of the students. The average, you know, count in my particular classroom in my school seems to be like 87.5% average. You know, people passing mathematics out of this particular number of these students in my class, I can see that I am below the pass score, and I am getting around 50s maximum. So like if I do not get 75 plus, maybe I will fail in the O-level exam. So that will be a shame to you. So I am trying to support you by not to shame you and our family by taking A grade at least for this Chipil exam. As the teacher says, it's a very shitty exam, but I feel like it is not that so. Because for my brain capacity, maybe there is a challenge. So I need to participate in this class and there are few conditions, and without a smartphone, we can't go there. What can we do? There is a problem. Shall we solve this? I mean, that's a mathematical way of doing it. Right? So technically speaking, if you want to learn mathematics, you need to learn the thought process of mathematics. It's somewhat poetry. Because mathematics is the most fine art that I have ever seen in my life. Because it is applicable anywhere, in any field, and even in our normal life that we are living. Now, for an example, we are all surrounded by numbers. Example, the clock. When the clock ticks, we know there is some sort of number behind the clock, right? And when you look at the weather, it will tell you this much of milliliters of rain in that particular region, right? So if the wind is coming this particular miles per hour or kilometers per hour, wind is coming from this side, all numbers, right? And when we are talking about driving a vehicle, you can see there's a dial pad and there are numbers, isn't it? And your birthday is a number, isn't it? And your scores that you are getting after examinations are numbers. So your report card is full of numbers, isn't it? And when you get the grades and get a certificate, that is not numbers, but based on numbers only the decision has been taken. So symbols will be there. And when you go to an interview, if you have to show your certificates, basically they will check your numbers, isn't it? But maybe if you are going to go for a marriage, they might not look at your numbers in the certificates, but maybe the numbers in the bank account, right? So even bank account is full of numbers, right? It is only giving you some numerical figures. So if you are a billionaire one day, when you wake up in the morning, you will be happy looking at a big number. But that money may be not there, it is in a bank, saved somewhere else. But still you will be happy because you have the authorized login for that particular bank account, and it has maybe 2-3 billions in the account, holding under your name. That can be happiness too. So happiness can be numbers too, right? If someone is telling happiness is not something that you can achieve, only the divine can, achieve by human. That is the biggest, success of a human being at the end of the day. But even if you go to the divine, there will be numbers, right? So I believe in a reality where, we live a short journey, right, with this identity, right? For an example, your name is Zara. So Zara will live for some years on this earth with that name called Zara. So she might not want to die as the Zara who was in grade 11. Maybe want to make a name somewhere to be shown, I don't know, maybe said about, right? Not bad things maybe. Most of the time we are expecting good things. So in your life, you will never like number 0 because it always shows some sort of boring feeling, because most of the time this brings the feeling of the dullness. So that is one reason why people are not learning 0 properly. If you do not know 0, you won't be able to understand anything in mathematics. For an example, there was this mathematician called someone starts with the name at E. You can even find this. And he wrote an equation to explain what is 0. This is the only definition we have so far in mathematics for 0, where E is the exponential constant. E is very simple, it is not a very hard thing to understand. E is the exponential constant. So if you have a function, this is y and this is x, and if y equals e to the power x, this is called the natural decay and the natural growth, and this is in the nature. For an example, if you take amoeba, you know amoeba, right? amoeba starts with 1 and then it becomes 2 and then it becomes 4 amoebas because 1 amoeba will give you 2 more amoebas. Simple biology. Then it becomes 8 likewise. So initially that is 2 to the power 0. Then it is 2 to the power 1. Then this is 2 to the power 2. So 2 to the power 3. So on and so forth. So if you check a graph, 2 to the power 0 is 1. You know always this is 1. If you have 3 to the power like this, not amoeba, something else, there could be 3 to the power 0, 3 to the power 1, 3 to the power 2. That is also going to be intersecting at 1 because anything to the power 0 is 1. So if you have 1 here, 1 to the power 0, 1 to the power 1, 1 to the power, that is just 1, right? So it will be a straight line like this because always it is 1. For any x value you are getting, it's going to be y, not y, 1. But if it is not 1, right? If it is not 1, if it is 2, 3, 4, 5, even e, that is very special. You have this function. So this function to the power I to the pi you all know. Pi is not 22 over 7, that you know, right? So pi is actually in between 22 over 7 and 113 over 355, right? That is pi. Archimedes is the one who approximated this up to these two values using internal and external hexagons, right? However, 0 seems interesting now because initially for you 0 was just 0, right? Null, nothing. But now you know that 0 is something. Am I correct? So first of all, write down this poem and then we are going to define 0 for the very first time in your life. What is 0? So write down the poem and then as a question write down, define 0. Okay, write down the poem and then write define 0. I will give you 5 minutes. You can write any answer you want but in pencil. So I don't want your book to have wrong answers. So when we find the real answer, we can maybe erase it and write the correct answer. Right? I'll give you 5 minutes. Now it's 10:20. So 10:25, you can technically, start discussing again with me. So don't look at anything else. Just look at the book and the board. So you have the poem to start with. And then the question number 1. Define 0. Whatever the definition that comes into your mind would work. Right? So don't ask from anyone who's nearby. Just write what you think that 0 is. The simplest possible way that you can write, you can write. I mean, there's no correct answer, there's no wrong answer. You have 5 minutes, so write down what is 0 in your mind. 5 minutes, huh? Lesson learn. Okay, I'll tell you what I think about 0. Right? Now you have all thought, no? Maybe we can question one by one, but there will be different thoughts I feel. Right? I think about 0 this way. 0 is a big nuisance in mathematics. Right? Because for some operations, 0 is creating confusions. Like some sort of confusion. What sort of confusion? For an example, when we are using the operation called addition, very silent, no? 1 plus 0 is 1. So 0 is not doing anything. Correct? Like your mother. Now when you are doing a good thing, right? They will be like very silent. Very good. But if you do subtraction, right? There is a difference. Remember. And if you have 1 minus 0, it is one value. But if it is 0 minus 1, it's a different value. If it is 1 minus 0, it will be just 1. But if it is 0 minus 1, that is going to be minus 1. So therefore, it's like kind of a deciding factor in the order of the placement where the 0 is being used, isn't it? So technically speaking, the place you are, deciding the 0 to be in a subtraction will decide the final answer. So it's a decision maker. So like your mom, when you are doing a wrong thing, most of the time they will make the decision. You can't make a decision after doing a wrong thing based on their perspective. I mean, even in your perspective, if you are doing the right thing, but in your mommy's, mindset, if it is a wrong thing, then there's no proof or such. They will always judge you that you're wrong because they are the deciding factor. See, your mom is like 0, no? My mom was also like that, 0. And then, what about multiplying by 0? Most of the time, if you notice, it's a very simple thing to multiply by 0 because it vanishes everything. So it's like asking the approval from your mom. Sometimes you ask for some sort of approval, you only request and then the request is vanished. Right? So I feel like 0 is like a conventional Sri Lankan mom. So that's how I see 0. Right? So now when this is recorded and when you are watching, if your moms are watching, only for this part, take them somewhere and tell that, this part is not nice, this part is not really good, I will check after that, you tell them, right? Because I am not asking editing people to remove these things. Even if parents are watching, we can't help, right? So even if they feel bad, tell them that, I told, don't feel bad because I am with them, because I am supporting you, because you bunch of kids are created by them, they are biological weapons. So now you are psychological weapons. So now your psychology has to be sorted in order to think differently. That means in a different level. If not, you will not learn mathematics. Instead, you will learn some sort of cookery. So if your parents wants you to become, a person who's doing cookery with mathematics, that means they know some methods and they know some tricks and they have a memory of the problems that they have solved. And they think that they know mathematics, and then they go to the real world when the memory is faded with the time. And when you do not understand the concept, instead you know few methods. When the methods are running out, and when you have so many new methods to learn, when you do not see the pattern of the methods, then what will happen? You will not use mathematics in your life. Instead, someone who is better at mathematics, that means who is more strategic, will use you in that person's work. So you will become an employee forever, maybe. So technically, division is a mysterious, sort of operation. Right? Because when 0 involves in division, especially when it goes to the denominator, we have a big confusion. Because I saw, when I asked what is division, while driving on the highway by the way, right? So technically, one guy said at the first, I can't remember the name, like you check how many things are there in another thing to do division, right? Someone told, right? That was you. So someone told, we check how many things are included in another thing. Is how you think about division. I feel like that's a very correct feeling, correct thought process. Now check this. Let's go to grade 4 because it's easy to always start from where everyone can understand, right? Rather than, putting up very, tricky concepts. So if you have 2, let's say 4 divided by 2. So my thought process is working like this. How many 2's I can find in 4? Correct? So my mind can process now. It doesn't need any method. And it says you have 2 2's in 4, right? So you will write, okay. So then the answer is 2. Not because 4 divided by 2 equals 2. It is because there are 2 2's in 4, right? So then we continue to check this. We are writing 3 divided by 2. Now it's a question, right? Because in 3, there's only 1, 2, but then 1 is remaining. So you can write, okay, answer is, we have 1 for sure, but then there's another 1 remaining. If you, take off this 2 from 3. So 1 remaining out of 2 is most probably going to be the answer. Why it is 1 divided by 2 once again? Because if it is a division, it should be just division. We are writing 1 and then another plus half, because if you write like this, the meaning is plus, no? So even though the answer is given, still this is confusing, right? Since it is confusing, teachers would tell you, don't think about that part, If you divide 3 by 2, that is 3 over 2, and this is how you do it, 1 plus 1 over 2, and some method is given. So if you do not believe, they will give you a trick also. 3 divided by 2, something like that. Malu padega. So your mind is working like malu padega when you are doing these algorithms, How many 2's in 3? That is 1. 1 into 2 is 2. Then we have to subtract 3 minus 2 is 1. So the answer is 1 plus 1 over 2. But teacher said don't put plus, so I remove it. So the answer is 1.5. Something like that. Isn't it? So this was cramming. This was not mathematics. Right? Okay, we continue like this. However, we learn difficult things in grade 4 as well, seems, right? Grade 4, 5, 6, 7, right? You must be wondering why we are doing that. But maybe no one answered. So maybe you adopted. Okay, let's do it, man, because all the people are doing what the hell, I don't ask questions anymore. Because if all are doing, why the hell I should ask questions? So we'll just, write it. But then, has anyone questioned what will happen if you divide 1 by 0? Or like 1 divided by 0. How many zeros you can find in 1? How many zeros? How many nothingness or how many nullness you find in unity? How many zeros you have in 1? 0. Okay, we have one answer. Answer number 1. 1 divided by 0 equals 0 by Zara. 1 divided by 0 equals, okay. Any other answer? Infinity by Abdul. Oh, Aziz. Abdul is good. So he's thinking it is infinity. Abdul. Am I correct? The way I have you said infinity, no? Is there any symbol to represent this? No, no symbol. Okay. Any other answer? 1 divided by 0. Now we have to. Mara answers the garni. You are doing 0 is infinity. I mean, infinity is like very big, no? And 0 is like nothing. So you are in two different visions for sure. So either he can be correct or you can be correct. Both can be correct for sure. Because infinity is very big. 0 is nothing. There's nothing. It was a oh. Undefined. Oh. 1 divided by 0 is undefined. That means no one can find this. What's your name? Adib. A T H I M. Atim. So Atim thinks that is undefined. Any other answers? Fire, key. Any answers? No. Any other answers? So we have only 3 answers to discuss. Okay. First we'll take this guy. 1 divided by 0 by Zara, as per her vision, is 0. Abdul thinks it's infinity. And Atim, right? So Atim thinks it's undefined. So now we need to know why they think like that. Isn't it? Zara, why do you think 1 divided by 0 is 0? Give me some context. Because there's nothing in 1, but 1 is there. Then we have there are some girls, when they want to break up with the guy, they have few reasons. I mean, I am a papu hila. Matavada honda kenek wada hamba we. Right? Anika ape ගෙවලදී මේකට කැමති නැහැ කොහොමද? Right? ඒ වගේ කියන. එතකොට කොල්ල අහනවලු. Okay, now we have 3 problems. Number 1, you have a hole in the heart. Okay? Understand? Number 2, definitely I will find a better girl. Okay, that's also nice, right? And then number 3, your parents will never like our affair. Now there are 3 questions to solve by this guy. So guys, take it one by one. So you have a hole in the heart, which means you are telling me that you can die early, right? Okay, so you have any prediction, when are you going to die? So until that day, we can be in the relationship, right? Step number 1 done, okay? And then girl says that, so you are telling that I will get a better girl. So like, that means someone should be better than you, right? Then she would say yes, because that was her story, right? She said that, you will get a better person than me, okay? So like, in what sort of coordinates you are talking about this betterness? Because maybe my perspective about better girl and your perspective of better girl can be different. So are you talking about the physical coordinates, psychological coordinates, or emotional coordinates? That means that she would give more affection to me, or maybe like she has a better figure so that I feel, good whenever I see her, better than you for sure, because now she is feeling better than her. Or is she like intellectually advanced so that I can learn something from her? Those are 3 things, right? Then as girls, girls doesn't like to tell that, another girl is better than her. That's their norm, right? So don't try to change it. So they'll be like, figure-wise, I cannot tell because, there could be some, better people as well, like I don't know, right? You can choose, right? At least you have the freedom to choose. So like you can select about that. But I mean, now imagine like I have this hole in the heart case and like my parents, not liking this situation. So like, I might not be the right candidate for you, right? Something like that. So she will give an excuse. She won't tell why better. So that means there is a loophole. Now the guy is going to penetrate that loophole and the final question. Parents wouldn't like the affair. So then you can ask, okay, in what context? Is it because my religion is different? Right? So then you can give suggestions. I can change my religion and I can have you. Or maybe you can change your religion, we can elope. Right? These are suggestions, like multiple agreements that the girl and boy can do. And second one, maybe because I am shorter than you, or maybe I am taller than you. So there are some families, they don't like if the guy is shorter than the girl. They feel like the girl is going with the draft or something like that. Right? So maybe from parents' perspective, they are also correct. Right? Because in the young age, sometimes people do not understand what exactly they need. So maybe they have some sort of right to give you some sort of an advice. That is not bad. But now as a guy living in the age of 16, 17 would feel very bad about this. No? Because it is like explaining, the girl is explaining 3 points about not having the relationship moving forward. And it is like explaining how to divide anything by 0. Very confusing. Because she is telling 3 answers. They are in 3 different ways. She is telling that 1 over 0 is 0. I have a hole in the heart, so we cannot continue. And then 1 over 0 is also infinity. Because you can find someone better than me, so there are infinity of other girls that he can find. But he doesn't know who is the girl he is going to find, so he is going to be lost for a while to find the next one. How ne? Following him, right? However, now it is undefined. So you go to the parents and tell, I have a guy like this and he's tall and he's very fine and he seems like a smart guy and he's 17, I'm 16. Undefined. That is not accepted. Right? So just imagine, now where are we? Imagine you are in grade 11, but we don't know exactly, no one has told us. If you divide 1 by 0, what is the answer? Isn't it? Some of you may feel 0 is correct. And some of you would have heard about something like 1 over 0 is infinity, but do not know the exact reason. Right? Someone would have told, I feel. Because I am going to question you now. Because I questioned her, then I am going to question you out. Right? So now you tell me, why do you think it's infinity? Have you heard? Yeah. Paradoxical? Me ආමුදු වචන කියනවා. No, you tell in Kadda, it's fine. But why you use paradoxical? That's like university 3rd level topics. But I will teach you if you want what is a paradox. But my question is, What are you trying to tell me? Like infinity, now you are telling as the answer. Now I thought maybe you have heard something like that, but not. You are telling, no, it's logical. So tell me the logic. 1 is a number. 0 is not a number. Okay.
But in 1 there can be more zeros.
How? Because 0, there's nothing called 0. Am I not? Eh? So 1 divided by 0. Okay. So you are asking a question from 1, how many zeros you have in you? Isn't it? That is a division, no? So then 1 will be like, bro, like I have never seen 0, you know, like I don't know. There may be more. That is like an assumption, no? So that logic is not going to work. I mean, maybe you created the logic to think that it is true. I mean, for an example, I'll tell you a very nice story. My former girlfriend and my wife now, right? Because she was one of my former girlfriends. So we got married in 2017, right? She was a Catholic woman, and I have followed so many religions. So I do not follow an exact religion. For an example, when I was Pakistanis, I was Islamic, right? So I used to do everything that they did because that was my culture. Right? That's why I learned few new languages too. When I was in England, I was living with Pakistanis mostly, right? And when I was living with, my school friends in Lyceum, majority of them were Catholics and Christians. So I learned their religion too. So when I was living with them, I had to eat like them. I had to sit like them. So some gestures, postures, they taught me this is how you do. Because so they taught me. So I learned. That was also nice. And when I was young, my parents, they have come from a religion called Buddhism. But, they never went to temples. So I didn't know what it is. Because my father was a civil engineer, mother was a quantity surveyor. They were always working. So they never go to temples and stuff. Right? And my father does not believe in horoscopes and shit. Right? And also like he has so many other things that he is not believing. So like I never understood, what is this Buddhism. But later on I went to the Dhampasala in grade 9 to find some girls. Grade 9 you have to find some 6, no, right? So I went to the Dhampasala and I found a girlfriend in grade 10. I was in grade 10, she was in grade 9. Right? So something like that happened. So because of that I went to the Dhampasala again and again. So I learned some Buddhism too. Right? So now I have learned few religions. Now my wife is coming from this Christianity, or let's say Roman Catholic, nature, right? So she told me once that she has seen Jesus. Then I was like very curious because, I'm a very curious bugger, so I always ask questions. Then I asked, when did you see? Then she was like, when I was like age of 11. Where did you see? There is a church near to my house called Sukuvattarana. Okay. What did he tell? He didn't tell me anything. Okay. Now we have a question. So you have seen, but you have not communicated. She said yes. Then I asked, what did you see? She said, I saw an image like, Jesus that I have seen in the books and the statues. Then I said, it can be an optical illusion. She said, no, I exactly saw Jesus. Then I said, okay, Jesus was a living human, so he is dead now for sure, right? But then she said, he has come back. And I said, okay. So now if he has come back and he has, he has seen you, and maybe there are other people who have seen him, right? Then she was like, yeah, there's a lot. In social media, if you go, there are people who have seen God, so on and so forth. I mean, like, she came in with so many logics. I mean, I don't know, tell everything. Then I got really messed up in my mind because I don't understand her vision. In 2017, this happened after the honeymoon. We had this discussion, right? Until that, we didn't have any problem. Even now, we don't have any problem. But then, it was like 1/0 for me. Because now, she has some sort of logic to back up her, vision. But she is telling that she has seen, but there is no scientific facts or evidences. But then, psychologically, as a human, if I distract her faith, there could be many things that will be falling down. Why? Because not only the faith, with it comes some sort of values. For an example, she would have few rules in her life that this is good and this is bad based on the religious vibe. So imagine I scientifically question this again and again and again and again, make it a big issue. And then she will be psychologically fed up, keeping that belief or the faith with her. So when that breaks, what will happen? Even the system will break. Similarly, if zero is not defined, I mean, as he said, if it is undefined, or if it is infinity, and if it is not zero, I mean, like, we are in hell. So let's try to understand like proper mathematical people, like mathematical understand. Right? So focus on this, because if you do not understand, you can always question. So I have this y-axis. Okay? හොඳට බලන්න. මේවා කියලා දෙන්නේ ඕවල් පන්තිවල උන්ට. මොකද අපේ ටීචර්ස් හිතන්නේ ඕවල් පන්තිවල හරක් කියලා. Right? එහෙම තමයි කියන්නේ. එළියද? But එහෙම නැහැ. This is the best age for you to train your brain. Because when you pass this stage, you come to a fixation of the things that you know. That's a very hard season. So when you are like age 14, 15, 16, that is the best time to train your brain. Right? That is why USA and India are much ahead from us. You know, in India, they finished the first degree by 19. In India. Like, I finished my first degree in age of 22 in England. But when I was finishing my first degree in 22, I had so many friends who finished the same degree in the age of 19 after coming to UK also. So imagine, in Sri Lanka, usually, when you finish the university, it is like 25 to 26. So if you notice, Indians are how many years ahead of us? At least 6 years. So they will always have the early advantage. That means the human who are in the same age of yours will be 6 years ahead than you when you are coming out of a university here. Isn't it? So you can compete only with the people who are inside the country. Even when you go to India, imagine there are so many people going to other countries, no? But having India very close by, not many people are going there, no? People are going to Italy, right? Then France, England, Aussie, New Zealand, Canada, US, isn't it? They go for all these countries, but not for India. They might be going for labor or maybe making movies and stuff. But if not, I mean, like, I don't know whether anyone has a dream, okay, I'm going to go to India and work at some parliament, right, under a politician, something like that. I don't think that you have dreamed. Maybe if you have, you do. If you have, you can continue. But what I am telling, there might not be, right? So imagine, in this age, if you can understand this concept, I guarantee, this is my word, if you can only understand this, that means your brains are working very fine. So if you can focus enough and answer my next few questions precisely, even if you were very weak one day before this session, after this day, you will be considered as brilliant students, at least me. If not all the people are accepting, I will accept you. If all the people are telling that you are like dumb kids, I will accept as you are brilliant kids. And I will prove them that it can be done. Are we clear? Okay. So let me take the conventional x-axis and the y-axis. Okay. Now I am going to try something. Very simple thing. Okay. Now my problem is 1 over 0, right? So I am going to think, what if I have a function y equals 1 over x? Because if x equals 0, we get 1 over 0, right? Very simple. So when x equals 0, that is 1 over 0, right? Right? So we have x. Okay. We have y. Now I am going to check for different values of x. What is the value for 1 over x? Very simple, right? Because y is equal to 1 over x, correct? Now this is like a machine. Think like a machine, okay? Don't think like a table. Always think like a machine. Now, to get that machine feeling, I'm going to make it like a machine. Do you like it? Because these tables are like bullshit, no? Because it's like kindergarten. So I'm going to make a machine instead. So imagine you are in a mobile interface, right? and you have some sort of a mobile application where you can input the x value and the y output is given based on this equation. So let's think like machines. So I put 2 here. So what do you get here? 1 over 2, right? 1 over 2 is equal to 0.5, correct? 1 over 2 is same as 0.5, right? Everyone knows that. 1 over 2 is same as 0.5, right? What? Are you asking me? 1 over 2 is 0.5. So we have 0.5 here, correct? So when you put 2, what do you get? 0.5. Then machine එක මෙහෙම බෑ නිකන් මේ ලදර මේෂමක් වගේ දක්කලා දාද්දි කියන්නේ. So if it is 4, what do you get here? ටක් ගාලා කියන්න බෑ. අඩෝ කැත වැඩ කරන්න බෑ. 1 over 4 is 2 ද? 0.25. 1 over 4 ne 0.25. That is 25% of something. Okay. What if you put 8? 1 over 8 is 125 over 1000, no? That is 0.125, right? Correct? 1/8. Correct? So you have a chocolate with 8 rectangles. And the price of the chocolate is 1000 rupees. So that rectangular piece should be 125 rupees. 125 plus 125, 250. 250 plus 125, likewise when you add all 8 pieces, that should be 1000, no? That is not a big thing to think. Your brains are more capable thinking like that. Now I am going to put these numbers very fast. I put 1. What is here? 1 over 1 is 1 divided by 1. 1. I put 2 here. 0.5. I put 4 here. 0.25, not 25. Okay, you put 8. 0.125. So now we know for sure, when you put 1, it is 1. When you put 2, it is 0.5. If you put 3, 0.33333 something, right? Because 1 over 3 is 0.3333, or you can write 0.3 recurring. That's another way of writing. So now shall we go again? So we have 1, that is 1. If you have 2, 0.5. If you have 3, 0.3 recurring. If you have 4, 0.25. If you have 5, 1 over 5 is 0.2, no? 1 over 5 is same as 2 over 10, no? 1 over 5 is same as 2 over 10. So that is 0.2, correct? So if you have 6, what do you get? 1 over 6, 0.1 divided by 6. 0.16666, right? Isn't it? 0.166. Very simple. Now if you divide 1 by 6, this is same as 1 divided by 6. So for 1, how many 6? 0. So decimal place 10. For 10, how many? 6. 1. 1 times 6 is 6. So we have 4. Then we check for 40, right? For 46 times 6, 36. So 6 into 6 is 36. Again you get 4. Then you check for 40. That is also 6. So it will never end this process. So there we have 0.16666 something. So we can write 0.16 recurring. Game over. Correct? So now we have so many numbers in our mind. And what if we have 1 over 7? I know it is very ugly, but we can find, no? Shall we check? So 1 divided by 7. Now someone should help me, just one person. Unable essentials. Now can you tell me how many sevens you have in 1? How many sevens you have in 1? 0. So 0 times 7 is n. 0 times 7 is 0. So, now what we have? We are not going to write it even. We will go to what? Next decimal and think of what? 10, right? For 10, how many 7s? 1. 1 times 7 is 7. Then we have 3. Now we don't go again, put another 0 here, but we check for 30, no? For 30, how many 7s you have? That is 4, right? 4 times 7 is 28 now. Now we have 2, that is 20. For 20, how many 7s? 2, right? Now 2 times 7 is 14. Now we have 60 to check. And 60, how many 7? 8, right? 8 times 7, 56. And then you have 40. For 40, how many 7? So, you can see that it will always give you a new number. So, this pattern will never end. This is not a recurrent decimal. Non-recurrent decimal it is. Isn't it? So, we'll talk about it later. But for the time being, for our easiness to manage this, can I call this 0.143? Just to have a rough figure, right? Now we can set the machine again, no? Shall we go back? So when x equals 1, what is it? 1. If it is 2, 0.5. If it is 3, 0.3 recurring, no? If it is 4, 0.25. If it is 5, 0.2. If it is 6, 0.16 recurring. If it is 7, that is 0.143. If it is 8, that is going to be 0.125. If it is 9, 1 divided by 9. Abhi aasa hai 9 one lasana number. In mathematics, the most beautiful number is 9. Right? Look at 69. Lot of people love this, no? 9. I like this because of summer of 69, not because of any things that you think. So, how many 9s in 1 you have? 0. So then we check for 10, right? With the decimal. So how many 9s in 10? 1. 1 times 9 is 9. 1. Make a marune. You get 0.11111111. So that is 0.1 recurring, no? Correct? So 1 over 9 is very easy. I told you 9 is beautiful. So this is 0.1 recurring. What if you have 10? Yeah, no, 0.01, right? Because if you write 1 divided by 10, this is same as what? This is same as 1 divided by 10 is same as what? For you to see a nice picture. 1 divided by 10 is same as what? 0.1, no? Because if you multiply up and down both by 10, you get 10 times 0.1 being equal to 1 and denominator 10, right? So this is 1 over 10, right? If you multiply by 10 over 10, correct? So now we have good news. The machine is now working fine, no? Our mind. What if I have 100 here? 0.01, right? Now very simple, no? 1 over 100 is 0.01. And if you have 1000, what is it? 0.001. No? What if we have 10,000 in it? 0.0001. What if we have 100,000 in it? 0.00001. However, after the decimal, there will be only 5 digits. If the number has 5 zeros, after the decimal, there will be 5 digits, where the last one is 1. Correct? So if you have 10 to the power 9, 1 billion, there should be 9 decimal places and the 9th one will be 1, right? So it will be 0.000000001. Very small, right? This amount is very small, right? Now, if the machine is good, then maybe our mind is also good, right? Because we did all these calculations in our mind, right? We didn't write it anywhere. So now I want to see whether machine can do some sort of machine work. Now going back to the question, what is 0? And we are talking about y equals 1 over x when x is equal to 0. So we have a machine when x is equal to 1, right? Y value turns out to be 1 itself. When x is equal to 2, the y value seems to be 0.5. So just to make up with this guy, I am going to put 1.0 here. And if I have x equals 3, then y is equal to 0.3 recurring. And if I have x equals 4, then y equals 0.25. If x equals 5, y equals 0.20. Correct? If x equals 6, y equals 0.16 recurring. If x equals 7, y equals 0.143. To make up with this guy, I am going to put zeros here. Then 0 3 recurring. Still is the same, right? This is 0.500. Now comparable, isn't it? When x equals 8, y equals 0.125. Correct? This machine is ugly, no? Now you will help me this way. So we have y equals 1 over x, y equals 1 over x. When x equals different values, that means this is like a machine. And if you put something here for x, anything, you consider it's reciprocal, or else you actually ask from one how many this thing you have in you, something like that. So now we know if x equals 1, y value is also 1, right? Correct? When x equals 2, y value is 0.500. When x equals 3, y equals 0.333 but recurring. When x equals 4, y equals 0.250. When x equals 5, y equals 0.200. When x equals 6, y equals 0.166 recurring. When x equals 7, y equals nearly to 0.143. When x equals 8, y is equal to 0.125. When x equals beautiful 9, y equals 0.111 recurring. When x equals 10, let's say 10 to the power 1, then y value is equal to 0.100. Correct? So when x equals 10 to the power 2, that is 100, y equals 0.010. When x equals 10 to the power 3, y equals 0.001. And the story will continue. Now there is a good news. When x is increasing its number, y is lowering its value. When x goes very high, y value is very small. Am I correct? X is increasing, y is decreasing. For this in science, what do we call? Inversely proportional, isn't it? When something is increasing, don't think that it is decreasing because I am putting my hand like this. Actually, the number is increasing, isn't it? So x value increases, y value comes down. Starting from where? At 1. When x is increasing, y value is coming down. X value is increasing and y value is coming down like this. And this is 1. Because when x is equal to, this is wrong. When x is equal to 0, we don't have any idea. So something like this. Isn't it? Because it's a never-ending process. It's a never-ending process, right? Because when x is becoming very high, y is becoming very small. But y will never be 0. Isn't it? You can put so many big numbers under 1. But then the answer will be a very big one. Isn't it? A very big one. Like if you put smaller values of x, you get big values of y. If you put like big values of x, you get smaller values of y. So now, when x is equal to 0, it seems like it's a very big value that we don't see. That is why that infinity idea is come. But the problem, if it is negative numbers, it will be negative infinity. But negative infinity is like the hell. And positive infinity is like the heaven. So like how can we tell infinity? Because it can be either hell or heaven, right? They are in two different pathways for sure. So if someone says 1 divided by 0, any number not equal to 1, not equal to 0. So any number, right? Let's say any number divided by 0. But let's define when n is not equal to 0. Something like 1 divided by 0, 2 divided by 0, right? 3 divided by 0, anything, right? We can write limit when x approaches 0. 1 over x is positive or negative. This is the definition. Okay. That's how we write in mathematics. When the limit x approaches 0, that means x is not equal to 0, x is approaching 0. When x is approaching 0, 1 over x can be either positive infinity or negative infinity. So if someone says 1 over 0 is infinity, that is wrong. That is why I said maybe you have heard somewhere. Because you could have been heard. That is possible. But then you have believed in your own logic. But once again, that logic is also wrong, answer is also wrong. Because if you say infinity, people would think about positive infinity. But there could be negative infinity as well. But positive infinity and negative infinity are like two different worlds. So it cannot be the same. So what it is telling is there are two answers. It can be positively very high, or it can be negatively very high. But it is not going to be 0. Isn't it? 1 over 0 is not 0 for sure. So now we know two things. Number one, if someone questions how to define 0, now we know one thing. If you divide anything by 0, it can be either positively very big or negatively very big, but we don't know exactly. Correct? So if you say undefined, that will be wrong. Why? Because it is defined. There you go. Isn't it? So 1 divided by 0 is definitely defined, and it is not 0, it is not infinity. So all three are wrong. Am I correct? All three are wrong. But 1 divided by 0 can be positive or negative infinity. Not 0, not infinity, not undefined. So it is defined this way. That is 1 over 0. But the question to ask, what if we have 0 divided by 0? Undefined. This is undefined. Because imagine, to understand a number divided by 0, how far we had to go. But then when you have 0 divided by 0, it is undefined. But remember, in mathematics, you have formulas to even work out undefined things. Example, if you have limit when x approaches 1, x squared minus 1 divided by x minus 1, this can be solved as 2. But if you apply x equals 1, this is 1 squared minus 1, 0, divided by 1 minus 1, 0. This is 0 divided by 0. But you can prove mathematically that this is equal to 2. It doesn't mean that 0 equals 2. It means that the limit when x squared minus 1 divided by x minus 1, when x approaches 1, it is going to be 2. Later you will learn. So even undefined cases can be solved. Don't worry. So mathematics have all the solutions. So one thing for sure, 0 is not going to be so boring, right? It has so many things. So shall we write down this statement? 0 is a real number. 0 is a real number which is considered as an integer. 0 is a real number. 0 is a real number which is considered 0 is a real number which is considered as an integer. As an integer. 0 is a real number which is considered as an integer. But if any number is divided by 0, but if any number is divided by 0, but if any number is divided by 0, then it would turn out to be, then it would turn out to be, then it would turn out to be divided by 0, is divided by 0, it would turn out to be a very big number. It would turn out to be a very big number, which can be a very big number. A very big number, which can be either positive or negative. Either positive or negative. It can be a very huge number. It can be either positive or negative. So write down a star and write. Note that you can even use a different color pen for this. 0 is 1 over 0 is not undefined. It's precisely defined. One over 0 is not infinity. It's a huge negative or positive number. 1 over 0 is definitely not 0. That we know for sure, right? Are we clear? Are we clear? Very simple, no? Clear and clean, that now we know exactly what 0 is. Are we clear? Now write down as point form, point number 1. If anything is added to 0, if anything is added to 0, if anything is added to 0, point number 1, if anything is added to 0, it will be the same thing, isn't it? If anything is added to 0, you are writing this. Maybe you can keep some time for that, because later you can write, no? Write what I am telling. If anything is added to 0, it's the same thing. And if something is subtracted, if something is subtracted, it will be the negative of the same thing. If something is subtracted, it will be the negative of the same thing. It will be negative of the same thing. Correct, no? If you add something, it will be the same thing, no? To 0. And if you subtract something, it will be the negative of the thing. So when you are writing, just don't write what I am telling, think and write. Maybe I'll tell lie. No, I am not telling lie right now. But if I'm lying, I might not tell. Maybe later I will tell that I lied. Right? So, if anything is multiplied by 0, it will be 0 itself. If something is multiplied by 0, then it will be 0 itself. Now you can teach the kids, 1 divided by 0 is this. So if you multiply by 0, it will be 0, right? Harid, ready? Then tame aathalla gennya. Iwasan. Yana Pastor Uttari, I asked you a question, no? What is division? Remember? We haven't answered that yet, no? I asked what is division. Then only we came to the 0, right? So write down question number 1. What is division? 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 Now only we are starting, no? We are starting on division. Remember, division is not a synonym for discrimination. For discrimination, we have another mathematical term called delta. This is called discriminant. And this is given by b squared minus 4ac, by the way. That's in algebra. Right? When you have y equals ax squared plus bx plus c, the solutions of x, right? When y is equal to 0 is given by x equals minus b plus or minus square root of b squared minus 4ac divided by 2a, right? Am I clear? So this part here, b squared minus 4ac, is called delta x, and this is called discriminant. That is how we discriminate in mathematics. We don't discriminate people based on race, color, religion. What else you have? District, caste, father's surname, grandmother's cloth, nothing. Right? In mathematics, we discriminate only algebraic constants. So that would be b squared minus 4ac. That is why people who are thinking in a mathematical way are so liberal. They do not follow any sort of shrine. Why do they need? Because they have the prime in the head, aren't they? So they discriminate only constants in algebra. But division is very interesting, I'll tell you. Division is very interesting because division is the hardest mathematical concept that anyone can have, because it includes 0 in the denominator, which creates a different topic we just learned. And also, you all mentioned something about equal divisions, right? And that is the most familiar thing. Let's say you have a loaf of bread. Loaf of bread. Shape name? Loaf of bread. And if you divide exactly to half, this is called half of a bread, isn't it? That means dividing into equal amounts is what you have been taught in the beginning, no? And let's say you have an apple, right? Let's remove the natter because it's hard to divide, right? So you divide this to equal 3 parts, right? That is 1 over 3. Then let's say you have a sandwich, and then you can divide this to 4. Usually you don't divide like this, but in luxury hotels they divide like this, because the millionaires and billionaires, they don't like this. This is the duppa sandwich. This is the posa sandwich. Oh, what is the posa gatiya then? Next time ask your mom, mom, don't cut like this. Go, make it rich. Right? So this is 1/4. Correct? So many equal divisions are there because in the history, that is how they actually, divide the things. Very simple. Because multiplying with the equal things is easy. So why division was considered to be equal amounts all the time? Because multiplication, they want to make it easy. Because if you make division very complex, multiplication is also going to be complex. So imagine like innocent human being, they found addition. Addition is very simple, no problem, no. But then they understood when you are doing business and all, you have to take loans. So the Arabic, merchants, they were traveling around the world. So when they were doing business, there were cases where they have to come with what? Loans. I know loans and interest are haram, but those days they only brought the concept of loan. I don't know why. Maybe against the religion. But however, they didn't charge interest. Loans were given. But when a loan is given, how to write it down? There should be some sort of format. So Al-Khwarizmi thought, let's use 0. And let's try to do an equation like this. X plus 1 equals 0. So x has to be a negative value, but no one knew this. So he came up with some concept. But then later he found the same finding was there in the universe that many other people have done. Right? Because in mathematics, I told you, no one can find anything new. Everything that you find, it's there in the nature. You can only do discoveries. And you cannot get Nobel Prize. Because Alfred Nobel's wife was stolen by a mathematician. So Alfred Nobel didn't give any Nobel Prize for mathematicians. So then we have Fields Medal that you have to get before 40 years of age, because average age of mathematicians are under 40. So by 40 years old, if you can prove something that has not been proven yet, then you can get the Fields Medal. And you can get billions of Sri Lankan rupees if you do something like that. So far, there are few people who has done that. But I mean, they didn't even bother about money. They were very old. I'm like, even though when they are like 30, 39, they were looking like 70s. Andrew Wiles is a nice example. The person who solved Fermat's last theorem, he was 39 when he was solving, but he looked like 65 years old man, because maybe he was using his brain so much so that he got his biological elements to the null stage very fast. Who knows? But we don't know how it works in the brain. But at least we know the equal divisions are very nice. So when you come to division, the first proposition that the guy came up with, on the group, he said, we think like this. If you have A divided by B, okay, we can communicate between A and B. Imagine A is a human, B is also human. So then this A is wearing glasses. Okay. A is a human. And B is wearing a frock. And the hair is also visible. Something like that. So we have A and B. Now they are talking. Right? This is an example, typical example. 2 divided by 4. Hard to question. Why? Because 4 is bigger than 2, no? So if B is bigger than 2, bigger than A, can be any number, no? Then it's little hard. Isn't it? Little hard. Now don't tell that this is very anti-feminist idea, because why B cannot be big? That is also fine, no? Don't come with those logic, because you are only talking about mathematics, right? However, if A is bigger than B, then they can communicate. Who? A and B. They can communicate. How do they communicate? Now I am going to do another typical example here. 4 divided by 2. 2, in the sense B is asking, hi A, how many me in you? Can you tell me? Isn't it? So then he'll be like, I think I can have two of you maybe. Then she'll be little, no, I don't like that. Those things will come. But I mean, if he wants, he can have two of her, right? Possible. ඕගොල්ලෝ නරකේ වෙයි දන්නේ බාහිර. මම මේ කියන්නේ mathematics. ඕගොල්ලෝ ඒයි දන්නේ බා මොකද? ඒවා වැරදි දේවල්නේ. So 4 divided by 2 is going to be what? 2. Because B is asking a question from me. How many me's you have in you? So technically, now this A is asking, B is asking a question from A. How many me you have in you? So if you have numbers, you can do the same thing, right? If you have 12 divided by, let's say, 4, you are asking the same question, no? How many 4s you have in 12? So this question is exactly the division. But now you will see, when the denominator becomes big, this question was invalid. Isn't it? Imagine a case where you have 2 divided by 4 here. Now the lady is asking, how many me in you? Basically, you are 2 times me, you know. Isn't it? So the guy cannot tell that I have so much of you in me. He can tell maybe you are 2 times me. Which means the origin of multiplication is there in division, no? Isn't it? Because that comes the times. And at the meantime, can you think from the product to the quotient? Or let's say multiplication to division. Yeah, that is also possible. If someone says, okay, if I have to divide by 2, that is also same as multiplying by half, no? Isn't it? So if you are writing 3 divided by 2, this is same as 3 multiplied by half, no? Correct? So very simple. This division has some sort of a connection with multiplication also. Isn't it? So now if someone says what is division, if you just write, you know, it's like very simple. You know, when the denominator is big, you know, she can question, she can't question. But if the denominator is small, then she can question how many me in you. Then the numerator will tell that, you know, I have some in you. Right? So then that feeling, you know, that is division. No one is going to understand. Isn't it? Because then they will come with questions, no? What if the denominator is big? What if denominator is 0? So you will be, what? Cross question. So you will be stuck. So there should be a precise answer. So technically, if someone questions from grade 6 and asks from you, Ayya, you are in grade 11, no? You are in all levels, no? Ayya, what is division? I'll teach you what is division. Either that person should go mad learning what is division, or that person should at least know what is division before he leaves, he or she leaves. Otherwise, who is the failure? You are the failure. Because being in grade 11, if you can't tell a grade 6 kid what is division, what's the use of learning mathematics for 11 years? Am I wrong? So we need to tell, and they might ask questions also, because they are kids, no? Then they will ask all the questions. Ayya, then what if I put 0 here? Then I don't understand, no? Then you will be like, bro, there's another thing for that. I will make a machine now. Then, no? Yeah. Put a Kannada Gompastan, Paraya, in Sri Lanka, that's how it works. Right? If you ask a question that teacher cannot answer, then that's how most of the teachers are also, you know, responding. Gompastan, Nipa, Guru, that's how they are responding. So then what will happen? Students' confidence will go down. They will stop asking questions. They will be like, and then what will happen? When you are growing up, you will have some sort of a hatred towards teachers. Some sort of a hatred. Not a big one, but you will be like, right? So when that is there, sometimes you cannot even learn further. Why? Because you don't feel like asking questions from the teacher, because Bhagi is shouting. Or maybe the lady teacher. Right? Now, a lot of lady teachers are not visible in mathematics teaching. A lot of lady teachers are not in mathematics, not because they are not good in mathematics. You know, ladies are much better in mathematics if they can excel. right? Because ladies have multiple, thinking abilities, like what you call multitasking abilities than men. But if they do not exercise them in mathematics, it's very hard for them to get it because their concentration levels are very low. Because as I told you, there are so many variations in woman mind happens based on the biological body that they have. But unfortunate thing happens, the people who are like 43 to 48, if you are a mathematics teacher, a lady mathematics teacher, you have to be very careful because they start to get the jealousy factor very soon in that particular age. So then it becomes an anger, and that anger might affect kids. So in UK and US in this particular age season, no mathematics teachers are allowed to teach kids. Imagine, right? Very scientific, right? But in our country we don't have standards, so you have to learn from someone, or like anyone available near to your vicinity, or maybe the teacher who's in the school. But I'm not telling that they are not doing a bad job, because they have to come all 5 days to the school, right? So they have to wake up in the morning, maybe earlier than you, and then maybe they have to finish the school and stay a little bit, and then they have to participate all these presentation ceremonies, sports meets, and they have to be in charge of several events of the school. So teachers are doing a hard job for like 30,000 to 50,000 salary. So from their end, they are okay because they are not only teaching but they are also managing. So most of the teachers have managerial work 60%, teaching work 40%. So that is the education system mirror. For management of a sports meet, there should be another team, who are specialized on sports, not the teachers who are teaching mathematics, Am I wrong? Right? So that school system is not there. In our country, we don't have, schools, separated for the people who wants to do politics. We don't have schools, people who wants to do sports and learning. So we cannot say we don't have, so we are not going to do. We have to also learn. Maybe when you, become big adults and like responsible citizens in the country, you might remember that bugger told, to have some sort of school like that. Maybe I'll make one when you have millions. Do something like that. Maybe your young generation can be better. Now, like what I'm doing, because I could have just, finished the journey here and, moved out from the country, right? Or even today I could have gone to the beach, have some fun. But I'm coming here because I think if I grow this seed, this will do something for you. And maybe in the future, there will be, bunch of people, who are smart, and we will talk about our country like Singapore maybe, because Singapore want to become like us. Now we have become like Ethiopia, I don't know, maybe they are better than us. So maybe in the future we can become at least Singapore if you do these things, right? So now the division is in question, because that was the last question I asked before coming to the class. So now division, if you can't write, this is division, you are gone. Isn't it? Because there's no point, because you know addition, you know subtraction, you know multiplication, then the other people know from your age. But you do not know what is division, because it is very confusing. When 0 comes, it gives positive, negative infinities. Isn't it? And when the denominator is big, it's hard to communicate inside the mind. If the numerator is big, then we can do something. And that something is taught in grade 4. And that is the only knowledge you have. When the numerator is big, and when the denominator is small, you do the division algorithm. But when it's happening other way around, you think it's a very difficult process. Now you can understand why so many people fail in mathematics. That is not because of addition for sure. Addition is something everyone can do, right? Subtraction, no problem. By grade 7, anyone can do subtraction, right? Multiplication, of course, because they've been, cramming down in this multiplication table since grade 1 maybe. So multiplication, somehow they will manage. But division is making the problem. Because at the end of the day, this division is something that you have to learn precisely. So today's my focus is to give you the precise understanding of division. So in your maths paper, wherever the division comes, you will be the masters of it and will be the fastest. But it is a journey. It is a journey. It is not one day's excellency that you can bring. Because I have planned this to how many days I said? 36 days. So this is official day number 1. So day number 1, what is my topic? Division. So am I covering a syllabus topic or not? a very good syllabus topic. Why? In each and every topic, you have division somewhere. But a lot of people are very lazy to learn division. Because of that, their speed reduces at one point. When you come at a particular speed and when you reduce it, then your pressure is also going down there. Then you feel inconfident. Write down, division is a mathematical operation. Division is a mathematical operation where a number is multiplied by the reciprocate of another number. The reciprocate of another number. Reciprocate of another number. Reciprocal. You can even write reciprocal, reciprocate. Both are the same. Reciprocate of another number. It's like this. If you have 3 divided by 2, this is same as 3 multiplied by 1 over 2, right? If you have 2 divided by 3, this is same as 2 multiplied by 1 over 3. Correct, no? As examples, can you write this? And then just one statement to finish the definition after writing the example. I am giving you example because you have context. One final point. If and only if the denominator consists of 0, if and only if the denominator consists of 0, if and only if the denominator, you mean the down part, right? You know, right? Denominator. You know, this is when you have A and B, this is called the numerator, this is called the denominator, right? The denominator consists of 0. Then this mathematical operation is not then this mathematical operation will be a little complex. It's not Kapagan. Will be little complex. Now I was going to give you like a bigger definition, but it will be hard for you to carry. This is easy. Will be little bit complex. So that complexity is the thing that we learned before, right? Isn't it? That complexity is what we learned. So why did I teach you the complexity of 0 first? Because then when you know what is division, that complexity will not come in your mind, the definition, right? So then we are done for the day, and I will be chatting you on the WhatsApp group. So do not hesitate. Always, chat on the group, and you guys don't have to DM me because group has everything, right? So you have the tech team, you have the production team, you have the designing team, and also me, right? Okay, then have a nice week. Next week we'll meet at the same time, little bit before. All right, then bye.
Decipher's 9 colors of math.